So you want to make an impact. You're thinking about starting a business, sharing your voice. How do women do it that handle motherhood, family, and still chase after those dreams? We'll listen each week as we dive into the stories of women who know. This is Call Me CEO. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Call Me CEO. And as always, I am thrilled that you are here. Thank you for spending the time because we have someone really special with us today. It's Leah Remillet, who is a productivity queen who helps you get more done in less hours than what you can do on your own. And listen, I know every single one of you that have reached out to me, and those of you who haven't, this is a struggle we all have. So I'm so excited to dig into this topic with you today, Leah. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah. So I want to have everyone get introduced to you a little bit more. Tell us about your family, your background. What gave you this path of finding a passion for this work specifically?
So I love entrepreneurship. I mean, it is just in my bones, right? I think a lot of us can relate to that. You think back and you're like, even as a kid, I was trying to figure out how I could make money and how I could do these different things. And that is me. I have always loved entrepreneurship. And when I started my family and was having kids, I thought, oh, this is who I am. I'm a stay-at-home mom. That's what I'm going to do. And I love stay-at-home moms. And I have so much respect for stay-at-home moms. And I am in a sense a stay-at-home mom. I've always stayed home with my kids, but while running a company. And I found myself when they were very, very little. I had a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 3 to 4-month-old. I would write these little blogs. This was back when blogging was like cool and it was just starting and it was this new thing. And we were in Hawaii doing undergrad. And so I would update, the family, everyone who's far away on what's going on with us. And I want to admit this because in case anyone can relate, I would, write down what everyone's doing. I'm like, oh, the hubby did great on his finals. And this one's riding a bicycle with training wheels. And that one is walking. And this one tried solid foods. And I just remember feeling like I'm never going to have my own accomplishments. That wasn't true, but I believed it. I felt like anything that I ever have to share is going to be that I aided them. And that is beautiful. It just turns out I am not quite saintly or selfless enough to be okay with that. So I really wanted to find something that could be my outlet, that could be my thing. And I did what about 1 billion other women chose to do during those early, 2010s. I thought I'm going to become a professional photographer because that would allow me to be home and do a little bit of work and have this outlet and all these good things. So, I started that photography business and it grew really quickly. I mean, I hit 6 figures within the first year. I didn't really realize how amazing that was. And simultaneously, I started this blog that was called Go for Pro because I was literally going for pro. Also, GoPros had not been created yet. And so I had this blog and I would share these things. And one day I said something kind of in passing because I didn't really share any of my own stuff. I shared what I found from other people because they were the experts, not me. And one day in passing, I shared something about a sale or something like that. And the comments section blew up. Everyone was like, wait, I'm sorry. How big was your sale? And how do you do this? And so I started teaching and sharing that. And I found that I chose photography not because I had any skill. Okay. No one had ever said like, you're really artistic. In fact, that was the opposite of what anyone ever said to me. I chose photography to be the vehicle for entrepreneurship. When I started teaching, when I started sharing, like, here's the system I used, here's what I plugged in, here's what I put in place, here's how I'm getting these sales and all of these different things. That's when I really lit up and realized what my true passion was. And so I've been teaching entrepreneurs ever since in one way or another. Now, somewhere a few years later, I completely burnt out because I was that hustle harder mantra, grinding myself to the bone. And when I burnt out, I was like, I got to find a better way. Like this is not okay for my kids. It's not okay for my marriage. It's not okay for my health. I ended up collapsing, blacking out, having to get taken away in an ambulance because I thought it was smart to stop sleeping. And I had to change everything. And so it was in 2011, 2012 where I just burnt out. I was doing horrible. It was like, yes, I'm seeing all this financial success, but I don't feel successful at all. I feel my marriage, my family, I feel deterioration, I feel exhaustion all the time. And so I knew I had to change it. I'm going to be honest, it literally took me collapsing, being taken away in an ambulance. Like I needed the hit upside the head version of making a change, but I realized, and I was like, okay, I have to find a better way, because I'm either going to walk away completely from my business, which I love, or I'm going to find a better way, but I cannot do this. This cannot continue. And so I became obsessed with productivity, automation, systems, outsourcing, time management, time blocking, and just figuring out, can I do less but better? And then the more I found that, the more at first I kept it to myself because I was kind of ashamed, if I'm being honest. Like I didn't want people to know what a hot mess I was. And then I was speaking at this conference and all the women were together in the evening. You know how like at night, everybody kind of gets together, they're all chatting and talking. And I'm in one of those and everybody's talking. And one person starts to admit like that they're drowning and they start to break down. And then all these others start to be like, me too, me too. And here I was sitting there going, I figured out a better way. Like I've been holding on to this better way because I didn't want to admit how bad it had been. And I didn't want people to judge me. And that was the moment where I was like, oh, I don't care if I'm judged now. I am going to share and I'm going to talk about. And so that I would say for the last, 6 or 7 years, I just love, like, I want the money, I want the success, but I want it to be in balance. And so that's what I love teaching. Like, how do we build the systems to get more done, less time, make more money, less hours, full-time income, part-time hours? Like that's what I just geek out over.
Oh, I love it so much. And I feel like that's so relatable for so many, because when you're first starting a business, I feel like you have to play all the roles. You have to wear all the hats.
Yes.
And a lot of times you're so excited about it, it doesn't matter. And so you get to that place where you're like, I'll do all the things. But then eventually there comes a place where you break down and you're like, okay, this is a speed I can't maintain. And I think, I mean, I know many, many who have been through this process. So I'm so thrilled to hear that you are going to share that formula with us today. And I'm curious, when you were in that point in your photography business, like how many years for you was that you were like, I've got to figure out a better way?
It was about 3 years. And it was me running the photography business, also teaching. I had created a course that taught photographers how to reach 6 figures. And so it was not setting healthy boundaries, feeling like I wanted to hold on to all of it. I wasn't emotionally ready to let go of any part of it. Eventually, it took a while. It was not until 2015 that I finally emotionally, honestly came to a place where I could say, I am not a photographer anymore. I kept trying to hold on to it. I kept trying to hold on to it because it had been my first identity. And I had built some of my worth into that, I guess. And I finally in 2015 was like, I'm not a photographer. I am a strategist. I am a coach. I help entrepreneurs. I'm a teacher. That's what I do. But it was a process. So I started my business in 2009 with a 3-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 4-month-old. I got it up to 6 figures within that year, 2010-ish. 2012 and 11, like absolute burnout, wasn't even sleeping. I would work till 3 to 5 in the morning until I literally like crashed.